What we have here is a boost. A signal boost. A boost for comic book Kickstarter campaigns. Brought to you by Spoiler Country. Each episode we bring you current campaigns that we think you should support, talk with the creators to give you insight into the project, and spread the love of indie comic books. Now sit back, grab a drink, and listen to what we have to offer you today.
All right, welcome back to Spoiler Country. I'm Kenric, and that's Johnny Horsley. And today's
nice long
show
pause.
is Kickstarter Signal Boost number 7. That is crazy. Yep. 7 of them. And we only do these like once a month, right?
Yeah, once a month. On the 15th of the month now when we do them.
That's awesome. So, and we're getting a lot of good feedback. A lot of people want to be a part of this, and we've actually had to turn some people away. And if you're one of the unlucky few that got turned away, just resubmit. It's okay. We'll do our best to get you in. It's really, we get so many now. It's really first come first serve more than anything, right?
And we're only doing 4 a month, 4 per episode to keep it balanced out. And the people who I had to say no to or didn't have time for, I still tweeted out their Kickstarters for them. So I still retweeted them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They got that. It just, if you have a Kickstarter coming up and it's going to come up, get in touch with us sooner rather than later if you want to get on. Because we just recorded one for next month already, so we'll record them far in advance just to get them ready to go. But we got to make sure we get on there because, amazingly to us, we're getting more requests than we can handle right now, which is a good problem to have, I think. Right.
And it's just a simple idea that Johnny came up with because he's gone through this himself and he wants to try to get the word out for as many people as possible.
So
we got 4 fantastic Kickstarters to present to you today.
Yes, we do.
We have Jenn Arledge with Trial Run. We have Danny J. Quick with King Supreme.
Yep, we do.
We have Travis Holyfield with Street Clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Ben Bishop, Nathan the Caveman. So this is going to be exciting.
The first one's going to be a little weird because Jenn is sick and could not be here with us today to record.
Yeah, I hope Jenn gets better real soon.
Me too. So we were provided with a write-up to read that Jenn was going to read or go through, but instead Jenn's not here, so we're going to do it.
And we're going to read it verbatim.
Yes. So it's going to sound weird, but that's fine. It's going to make me Jenn for a minute and then Kenric Jenn for a minute, and that's okay. So without further ado, here is Jenn with Arledge Comics talking about Trial Run. Hey listeners, this is Jenn of Arledge Comics, voicefully coming at you with Con Crud. My latest Kickstarter is actually my very first anthology. Distinguished guests, I bring you Trial Run.
All of us have, at one point or another, wondered what it would be like to have superpowers. One young man's wondering is over. John is the only child of superheroes, and as he approaches his 18th birthday, he realizes he has some big shoes, or boots, to fill.
Trial Run follows John's misadventures as he learns what it takes to be a hero. He's given a collection of special teas, each one bestowing upon him a different power, allowing John to take each power on a short trial run. He's finally got his chance at superhood. He only needs to settle on a power.
Trial Run is a full-color, all-ages comic anthology consisting of more than 70 pages of full-color comics and features over 20 creators from all over the world. Rewards include digital and print copies of the anthology, including the early bird discount for a select number of backers, and a sticker sheet that features the work of our contributors as well. It's essentially another mini anthology.
Trial Run will be available on Kickstarter from March 15th through April 15th. The bulk of funds raised will go to paying the creative teams featured in Trial Run. The rest goes towards printing and shipping. Stretch goals, we've got some goodies planned. And the extra cash we generate, pay bumps for some super deserving creators.
And this is just a really great book, put together by some really great people. I hear it also features a short by this podcast dude no one knows. The wink. But seriously, some awesome people have put a lot of heart into this book. It's one I've enjoyed reading and putting together. It's a book you'll enjoy, and even your kids can enjoy.
So go back, Trial Run on Kickstarter. Dramatic pause. Did you back us? No? Now. Back us now.
Slight pause.
Thank you. Oh, that was fun to get through.
Yeah, that was fun to get through. I hope Jenn really enjoyed that. And that
yeah, I enjoyed it.
yeah. You know.
Yeah, so there was, as you noticed, there was a little nod in there. I have a story that I'm writing and drawing that's going to be in that book as well. And the story is co-written by my daughters, Sadie and Tegan, who are 10 and 7.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah. So the three of us are working on the story, and I'm going to draw it, and then it's gonna be in the book. And it should be pretty fun.
Cool. So our next Kickstarter up to show and to share with all of you is
our next
Ben
thing for
Bishop.
show and tell.
That's right. Is Ben Bishop, Nathan the Caveman.
Hey, I'm Ben Bishop, and I'm a comic creator from Maine. And right now I'm running a Kickstarter for my very first graphic novel, which I actually self-published 10 years ago, called Nathan the Caveman. And the Kickstarter is to bring this book back to print. It's been out of print for a really, really long time. And it's a super important book to me. Basically everything I've got since then, career-wise or attained, is all due to this book, due to the simple fact that at one point I just sat down and said, okay, well, if I want to make comics, I should just make comics. And I spent the next 4 years making a 300-plus page graphic novel about why people make art.
That's a huge first book to put out.
Yeah, I said, go big or go home. I was a big fan of Craig Thompson's Blankets, and I was like, I'm going to make a 600-page book, and then I got halfway there. So, but yeah, it's a great book, out of print for a long time, and so the Kickstarter is to bring it back, this special 10-year anniversary edition, because it was self-published in 2008, so we're at the anniversary right now.
Nice.
And printing technology and file format and all that has gotten so much better in 10 years, so I want to be able to put out like the best version that 2018 can provide. Every other printing I'd ever done of it was print on demand, like 25 copies at a time, and it just comparatively doesn't look good at all. So I want to make it look awesome.
That's cool. I've seen that this is and I've looked at your what you've worked on before and saw this was your first book, and I've wanted to read it, and it was out of print, so I'm excited to come back so I'll finally get a copy of it.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people like that. I have a lot of new, followers and supporters and friends that have never got a chance to get it and are always asking me about it, and it's kind of one of those things where, like, well, I don't know, I don't want to just keep reprinting it 25 pieces at a time, and
right.
Printing is really expensive, especially for a 300-page book. Luckily, this one's in black and white, so it kind of evens out to maybe a 200-page color book as far as prices go.
So pricey.
Yeah, it's still a lot, and to go through a real printer, there's print minimums and setup fees and stuff like that. So Kickstarter will be a really great way to do a relatively low, what do I want to say, responsibility as far as a new book goes. It's not like I'm like, help me make this 300-page book from scratch.
Right.
It's like, most of the work is done, touching stuff up, help me bring it back to life.
Are you adding anything to the book for this?
Yeah, it'll have a brand new cover for sure, and it will also have at least, starting off, it'll have 10 pages of making of behind-the-scenes content. That's always my favorite part of graphic novels.
Yeah, me too.
And I didn't get to put any of that. Yeah. So that'll all be in this new one. I just went through the time capsule, and I kept everything when I made this book because I knew it was going to be a big deal because it was my first. And so I have the first 2 years I was working on this book. The first half of the 4 years that it ended up taking, I was working at coffee shops. And so many of the panels and preliminaries are done on receipt paper from the coffee shop. So I would just print out like a certain amount from the spool and like lay out whole pages that way. So that would be really cool to finally show.
That's cool. That's pretty awesome. Have you, since this was 10 years ago for you, when you're going through this again, do you see a big difference in your art style?
Oh yeah. This is very raw. If this were the only thing you saw by me, admittedly, you'd be like, you need some work. but if you do know my stuff, it's really cool to look back and kind of see it as almost like a journaling of that progress of how much better I've gotten. But then also see it's funny. The book is about like the reflections in time between the very first cave artist ever and a modern day painter named Nathan. And throughout the story, their stories kind of mirror each other and reflect each other. So what I was just about to say was it's kind of fun to look back at this 10-year-old book by this, I was 18 when I started it. So by this 18-year-old guy, and see those reflections of what I still do the same, like as far as
right.
expressions, hand gestures, whatever it is, or even types of stories. So that's been really interesting to me, looking at it like it was almost done by a completely different person and being like, oh, we do that too. Yeah. It's weird. Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm excited to read this one because I've followed you. I don't know. I don't know when I found you or how I even found your work, but I found it somewhere. I think it was your Turtles covers that I found you on,
okay.
I think. But then I backed the Drawing Blood book you're working on. I'm excited to see that one when it's done. And you did the aggregate and everything else. Your art's fantastic. I'm a huge fan of your artwork, your art style.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I've definitely, like Nathan the Caveman was when I was figuring all that out, and even down to process, like figuring out, okay, like what do you need to actually draw comics? And one thing I learned about at the halfway point, 150 pages into that book, was I should buy a fucking desk, like, because I was just drawing. Yeah, I was just drawing on my lap and destroying my back, and so that's when I got my desk, the same desk I still use today.
Nice.
Only now I've converted it into a standing desk because my back is so thrashed. But
hunching over on it all the time.
Yeah. So now I stand up to draw. So I learned a lot, and then obviously every project along the way, gets better and better, and then learn new things on every project. My process is a lot different now than it was then, but it's cool to look back and see those differences and those changes and evolution.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm excited for this. Like for the reasons I said before. So, anybody listening, it'll be links in the description to it as well. Just search for Nathan the Caveman on Kickstarter. You'll find it there. It's definitely one I suggest picking up because I'm excited. I've wanted to read it since I first saw that it was a book, but I couldn't get a copy of it. So now I'm excited.
Well, you want me to give you a little backstory on the quick origin of how it came about, and then a synopsis? You got time for that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I've been making comics since I was 4 years old, and when I decided that that's all I ever wanted to do, I wrote to Marvel at 11 asking for a job. They said, call us when you graduate high school. But they also said, keep it up, keep sharpening your skills. And so I moved to Maine in 2004 to go to Maine College of Art. And the very first week we were in the Portland Museum of Art, which is actually where a lot of Nathan the Caveman takes place in Portland, Maine here. And the teacher was going through slides of everything we were going to learn that year. And she got to cave painting, and she said, cave painting is the first form of art, and we have no idea why they did it. And then she just clicked the button and moved on. And I was like, what? It's like, that's so weird. If it's the first form of art, you'd think they'd figure out why certain cavemen would lock themselves away, painting pictures on the wall and telling all these stories. And why did that happen when they were they're telling stories about the other cavemen who are out there actually living those stories. And the more and more I thought about it, I realized I wasn't some, genius who thought of this question before anyone else. I figured it was probably a really obvious answer. And so I got to thinking about myself and why I do what I do, and why I decided when I was 4 it's all I ever wanted to do. And it really came down to the fact, just such a simple answer that you have to. There's people who are creative and they need to play music, or they need to write poetry, or they design games, or even those weirdos who play sports. But everyone has something they need to be doing. If they're not doing it, they go crazy. So I came up with this idea for a story that, talks about the first cave painter ever, the first artist, and a modern day painter. And obviously, like I said before, there's the reflections and mirroring throughout, and you start to see where, things are headed for our modern day guy. But if the point of making art, if the reason that people make art is just because they have to, then what's the point of it for everyone else who witnesses the art? And it should be to learn from the past, to read the stories, and not move forward through time without acting like a stupid caveman. And so he's got to kind of change his own destiny by, unraveling the secrets of this ancient art. And it's a love story. It's a 300-page emo love story. It's great.
Of course.
So that's kind of all that all came from. My second year of school at Maine College of Art, it was like the first week, and I got called down to the financial aid office, and they said, hey, you can't go to school here anymore because your loans didn't go through. And so I never got to finish art school, but it was like that very same week, I said earlier, I had this revelation. I said, well, if I want to make comics, why don't I just make comics?
Yeah.
And I started working on the book, and because I just sat down and did it and self-published something, it's led to everything else I've gotten, Ninja Turtles, and now doing a book with Kevin Eastman. And,
which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, so it all snowballs. And
yeah, I mean, the best way to learn is by doing. Just force yourself to do it. You'll learn it. If you'll find out whether you have the skills to do it if you just make yourself do it.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why this book is so special to me, even though it's some of the drawing is raw and the storytelling and there's probably typos and stuff, but I'm leaving it exactly as far as content, exactly what it was. I'm adjusting some of the levels on the pages because the scanners weren't what they used to be, but I'm not going to George Lucas this thing and start redrawing. I want it to be the same special story that it was.
Not going to CGI in monsters in the front of scenes and stuff? Okay, good.
No. Yeah, they're just like walking in front of the characters. And
that was the dumbest thing ever. God.
I know. It's like, there is so much shit in the way. Why are they doing that?
Oh, man. Well, that sounds cool, man. I'm excited for this, as I said earlier. And I can't wrap my head around making your first book a 300-page epic. That's just it's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I really like to let things linger and slow down scenes, and because it is like a love story, and I learned to draw people basically starting with the face, starting with emotions, and then I moved my way out to like upper body, and then I was like, okay, full body, and now obviously I'm on the hook for backgrounds and crowd scenes and all that shit, but it all started with the emotions of the face, and so this book has a lot of that where I like slowed the scenes down and would let a moment last like a couple pages sometimes, and so I had no concept of what printing costed at the time, and I was just like, whatever, it'll be fine. And then it's like, it's 300 pages, oh great.
Like, that's future me's problem.
Yeah, I'll worry about that later.
Yeah, I printed the first book I printed was like 100 pages, and I was like, man, this costs too much to print. I can't imagine 300 pages, man.
Yeah, I'm lucky it's black and white for sure. The aggregate graphic novel, the last Kickstarter I'd done, that wound up being 240 pages in full color, so it was pretty close. And a lot more money because of the color.
Yeah, color adds a ton to a book.
Yeah, a lot of work.
All right, man. Again, everyone listening, links in the description. Nathan the Caveman on Kickstarter. Ben, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this. I wish you the best of luck with this Kickstarter. I have no doubts that you're going to fully fund and hit past it for it, so I don't worry about that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, thanks for having me. NathanTheCaveman.com should be working, so plug that in and should send you right to the Kickstarter.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
All right, thanks.
So that sounds like a really interesting idea.
Yeah, I'm excited because it's a 10th anniversary of the book, and Ben's currently working on Drawing Blood, which is the pseudo biography of the creation of the Ninja Turtles with Kevin Eastman right now. That's what he's working on.
Oh, he's working on it with Kevin Eastman?
Yeah. Kevin Eastman wrote it, and Ben's drawing it.
Wow, that's some.
Yeah, and
that's some big shoes right there, man.
Right, and Ben's done some Turtles covers in the past before too, and this was his first book he did. It's like 300 pages. It's insane. And I'm excited because when I first met Ben, I met him through some mutual friends in the art world, and I wanted to get
300 pages. That's a crazy amount.
And I wanted to get this book and read it, but it's been out of print for several years, so it coming back in print means I can get a copy of it now.
I think, by contrast, Frank Miller has written and drawn like 1,100 pages of Sin City.
Nice. That's a lot.
Something like that. Something close to that, maybe a little bit more, maybe a tiny bit less, but it's taken him, since 1988?
Yeah, a long time.
So 300 pages for any person, that's just a lot, man.
That's a huge amount.
Yeah, it's a big endeavor. So
yeah.
Good for Ben. I'm excited to see this.
Yep, me too. All right, up next, we got Travis Holyfield with Street Clothes.
Hi there, my name is Travis Holyfield, and I am the writer and creator of the comic book series Street Clothes. Street Clothes is a supervillain neo-noir. The elevator pitch for the book is that it's Jessica Jones meets Reservoir Dogs. So
that sounds awesome.
Yeah. so far,
I love
good.
both those things, man. I'm hooked. I love both those things.
You know what, man? Me too. That was kind of the whole drive for it. So, and it's been getting some really good response. People have said that the voices and things like that are pretty unique, but we've gotten a lot of good comparisons to Brian Bendis's work, to some Ed Brubaker stuff like Sleeper, Criminal, things like that. So that's kind of
good comparisons.
Where we're falling in. Yeah. I and I'm proud to say that I didn't just make them myself. So
good.
I got that going.
That's important to note. That's very important to note.
Yeah, no, these are totally things that other people said. People said nice things about me.
Yeah, Ravis Holyfield said it.
Exactly.
So are you the writer of the book?
I am. I'm the writer of the book. I created it and a general project manager, pretty much.
You end up wearing a lot of hats when you do your own books. I know the feeling. I've done it myself before.
Oh, yeah,
who else is working on the book with you? Who's working with you on the book?
So we've got line art from a fantastic up-and-coming artist named Von Randall, who's out of the Philippines. He is going to blow up huge. I'm just excited that we've got him committed to finish this book, because I have no doubt that a couple weeks after his last page on the last issue, he's going to be working for one of the big three, no doubt. We also have color art by HMT Studios, specifically one of their artists, Kevin Anthony DeCastro, who's just crushing it on the color art. Taylor Esposito from Ghost Glyph Studios is our letterer, and then our edits are done by Mr. James O'Callahan.
Nice. I gotta say, it's a very refreshing for me. I just so you a little background on me real quick. You probably don't know. I write and draw comics myself, and it's very refreshing for me. And I do penciling, inking, lettering. I've done all of it. But on the cover of the book here, I see you have everybody's last name to show all the people working on the book. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's very important to me that kind of everybody gets recognition. It's it's a team effort, and this is something where if it wasn't for the amazing work that Von and Kevin and Taylor and the whole crew are turning out, this book wouldn't exist. It would just be a bunch of scribblings in one of my notebooks. So that's crucial to me, to make sure that everybody on the team gets their nod.
It's important for people to know how hard and how important lettering is in a comic,
Oh my God, yes. And Taylor is amazing. I mean, he works, the fact that he's still working on stuff for me because he's a pal is just tremendous, because I mean, every week he's got books coming out from every conceivable possible publisher. So
that's awesome.
The fact that we've got his talents on this book are just something that I count my lucky stars on, because it does. He really, if you take a look on the Kickstarter page, take a look at the first couple of lettered pages that are there. I think we have the first 5 pages of issue 1 up there as a preview. You can see the work that he brings on the lettering side. It's pretty tremendous.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, visually, I haven't read it obviously because it's not out yet, but visually it looks, the style is very stylistic, I want to say. It's not, I mean that in a good way. It's stylistic and it has its own feel to it, but it looks very professional. The artwork does. The colors look good and they pop.
Yeah, it's the benefit we have that HMT Studios, the group that we're using for our color work, they've done work with Von before. Specifically, Kevin has actually colored on Von's work before. It's how we found HMT, is looking around trying to decide what we were going to do for colors, and Von just said, hey, these are people that I've worked with before. They do great work, and that connection and the fact that they do have that comfort level, I think, shows in the output, and it's really awesome for me to see it come through. Yeah.
Well, it's cool because the style of the art here is very sketchy but refined sketchy, and then you have the colors on top of it, which give it that finalized look to it, it's great.
Yeah, it really makes it pop. We've gotten a lot of compliments on the art, a lot of comparisons to and I'm going to completely slaughter his first name, but Lionel Francis Yu. We've gotten some comparisons to his work, Waltz Portasio, like some of his work as well. So I love the style of it. It's really, Von's work is just tremendous. And as the Kickstarter rolls out, you'll see some of the reward art that he's done in the past, like sketch covers and things like that. The guy's style is just really, really specific and really, really cool. Just fun to look at.
Yeah. Do you know who it reminds me of? If I had to pick somebody who this art reminds me of, Alex Maleev.
I love that comparison. I'm a huge fan of Maliv's work. So
good. I'm glad you know who he is, because he's fantastic, and it's like the sketchy style, the colors on this reminds me so much of Maliv's work, and which is a great comparison because I'm a huge fan of his too.
And not to toot my own horn on the book or anything, but I can actually, on the very first page especially, the book opens on this great splash page above a cityscape, and the detail work that Vaughn put into the buildings there, I can absolutely see that Maliv comparison.
Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. That's the one I'm looking at right now.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it looks good. It sounds cool, man. It's funny because one of the things I do when I do these on interviews, people on these episodes, is I don't look at their book really before we actually talk about it. That way, all of my reactions are genuine. Right?
Well, I'm definitely having these reactions and not kind of like, like, this is a
I hate
book with
forced reactions,
in it.
man. Yeah, I hate forced reactions. I'd rather give you an honest reaction about it. And when I say it, I mean it. And if this puts a little bit of pressure on you, but if the story's as good as the art and the coloring in this book, you've got a good book here, man.
I'd like to think that it is. I mean, obviously, it's going to be in the eyes of the reader, but I think we got a good thing going here. It's a fun story. Everybody involved with it is really super committed to it and to the book itself. And I'm just really, really excited for the Kickstarter to unfold, for people to get this out in their hands, and just really for this to get out in the world. So
yeah, man. I mean, you've got a solid concept.
Step up for it. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, solid concept, solid team you're working with. I mean, how can you lose in this one, right?
Hey, fingers crossed, from your lips to God's ears.
So everybody out there listening, the link's going to be in the description down below. Go to Kickstarter, search for Street Clothes. You'll know it when you see it because it has some really cool art. Watch the video. Check out the 5 pages there. Give it a back on there because it sounds amazing. It looks amazing. And Travis, I appreciate you talking to me today, and I wish you the best of luck on this Kickstarter.
Oh, thanks, brother. Thanks for having. Really appreciate it.
Okay, that sounds funny.
Yeah.
So is that...
I don't know.
I mean, what do you think? What did you think when you were interviewing Travis? What was going through your head?
One, he's super cool dude. I would love to have him come on for a full episode. It was so easy to talk with, and the art and the story the art looks fantastic. The story sounds good. It's a super villain story, and it just seems like it's kind of street level. It seems like it would fit in the Netflix Marvel universe if it was a Marvel series.
I like the villain angle sometimes.
Yeah.
Because almost every book out there is from the good side, because I think people strive to be good, but it's kind of fun to see it from the other angle, Yeah,
it is. It really is.
Especially if they fail all the time, like they're the villain that never succeeds, because that's just funny, But I don't know how, I'll be excited to check this out and read it. So
I don't know how it ends, so we'll have to see when it comes out.
Yeah, go back, Travis Holyfield.
Yep.
And then our last one.
Yep, go ahead. You say it. You say this. You since you were on this one, you can go ahead and say it.
Oh, gee, thanks. I just thought we'd go back and forth.
I'll give you the honor today.
God dang, man. All right. Our last one is a friend of the show. He's been on many times. He's a great guy. He does some fantastic writing. You got to check him out. And that's Danny J. Quick with King Supreme.
Yeah, don't read Kink Supreme like I wrote there.
I know. I was like, you wrote kink, man. I almost said it too.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Danny J. Quick, writer of Ace Blade and King Supreme, CEO of Fourth Wall Productions, and I am here to talk about my new Indiegogo project, King Supreme and the God Complex Enigma. This is volume 1 of a graphic novel that we're working on. It is the second King Supreme series. It follows a new King Supreme, Ryan Smith, who gets all the powers of King Supreme, and he immediately leaves his community and heads off into outer space for a grand space adventure. But he finds out that things are not so different out in space than they are at home, and he could have made an impact there with the powers that he had if he did not leave.
Interesting. That's an interesting way to take it.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
That's the kind of story we want to tell. The first King Supreme was about a young boy finding out his powers and wanting to help wanting to help everybody and, kind of overextending himself. And this book is kind of about a kid who didn't really want to help everybody else. He wanted to, leave his situation. But then when he got out there, he kind of finds out that, people do need help, and the powers that he have could actually help people. So he has to make that decision of what he's going to do and what he's going to be about.
Nice. So it's kind of a big departure from the first one, but keeping the same theme of what the King Supreme mantle means, right?
Right. The King Supreme, the power comes from the crown that whoever the host is puts on. So, each king will have a specific set of powers that are unique to them, but the standard flying, invincibility, invulnerability stuff goes, but it really depends on who that person is, and that also determines their weaknesses. For the first King Supreme, he was naive, so he was easily manipulated. This new King Supreme, Ryan, he has a whole different set of problems, and we'll explore all that stuff during the graphic novel.
That's interesting. How long is the book? How many pages?
We're planning on it being 100 pages right now. So
nice.
It's going to take us a little while to do. We've already gotten started on it, but it'll take us a couple of months to do. We're hoping to get it done by the end of the year, though.
That's pretty cool. So, who's working on the book with you?
It's me and Wally McNair. So the same guy who worked on Ace Blade #3 with me.
Nice.
We actually are co-owners of the character. I actually created the character from, it was my first, King Supreme was my first character that I created from scratch. But, after doing Ace Blade so long, and then King Supreme, that first series kind of died out, I figured, now it's time to get back into it. And I really leaned on Wally to help me redesign the character and to tell a new story. So we co-own the character now, and we're, taking it upon ourselves to put this story out. But, that's why we're going to Indiegogo to see if we can get a bunch of the books printed so we can, really take our time and do it right.
So I'm just curious, why the switch to Indiegogo for Kickstarter?
We really just wanted to cultivate a new audience. I've been using Kickstarter for all of Ace Blade books were funded on Kickstarter, and honestly, they have never really been really helpful. They have their list that they put people on. And, we've built a pretty good list, but now that we have our website, we have our own, email list that we work off of. So we don't really need the Kickstarter, help as much as we did before. So we're trying to really just cultivate a new audience on Indiegogo. A lot of people who support us are already telling us that they're going to be over on the Indiegogo project. But, we kind of want to build a new, since it's a new hero, it's King Supreme this time. It's not Ace Blade. We don't want to, King Supreme needs his own fans, so we're trying to go a different route, I guess.
That's a good idea, man.
Danny,
to branch out on where you do it from. It's a good idea. Go ahead, Kenric. Sorry.
I know. I was going to ask you. You can let me ask a question or what?
Well, I'm not used to being on these. Usually you don't join me on these. So, hey, I'm used to doing myself.
Well, you know what, Danny? If you go listen to our old episodes, I did the majority of the talking.
Yeah.
And that's not like Johnny at all, right? He like when him and I are together, we don't shut up. People probably get tired of us hearing us talk. But for some reason, when we got on the podcast at the beginning, it's not that he didn't talk. I just talked. It was probably more like 75-25 for a while there. And then like the last 30 or so episodes, I was like, man, I need to get you, I want you talking more. And then, so now he doesn't shut up and he won't let me talk.
It's payback, motherfucker.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's actually really good because it just makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah.
For both of us. One that he's talking and everything else. Anyways, totally irrelevant and off topic.
As always.
Where did you come up with the idea for King Supreme? Because it's really unique.
I don't know. I was at my mom. She was an artist and she's an educator now. But I was over at her house and I was working on some designs for new characters. And I was like, man, I just want a character who looks powerful, but he doesn't need he can breathe in outer space, so he doesn't need a face. He doesn't need, a nose and eyes. He doesn't need that stuff because his powers come from within. And, I was like, okay, let me strip all that stuff away. And I was like, okay, I want his skin to look like stone. So I made him all white, and, the crown was really what was important. I knew that everything had to come from the crown, and I knew I wanted to have those 3 points, to be, to define the crown. And then I was like, well, everything else is just superfluous. He has the cape and he has the crown, but everything else is just stripped away because he doesn't need it. He can, he doesn't need to breathe. He can breathe, if he wants to, but he doesn't need to, kind of like, Superman. But so that's why he doesn't have a face. He doesn't have a mouth. When he speaks to people, he talks to them telepathically. Everybody can hear him. He can hear everybody else, but he doesn't need a mouth to speak. So, it's just that kind of thing. It was the practicality of the design that was, important to me. And a lot of people really, really like the look of them. So, I kind of feel like I did a good job with that one. Now, some of these other characters, we still got to work on.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
but we did all right with King Supreme.
Yeah, well, it's a great idea. I'm excited. You got to really let us know when Indiegogo is Indiegogo live now.
No, it's not live now. It's going to start on. We're actually doing it early on the 16th of March. So Friday
perfect.
It'll go live. But we're going to NC Comic Con this weekend, so we're really going to push it there at that show. Telling people to pledge and stuff. So
this episode will be live on the 15th. So it'll be live tomorrow if you listen to it on the day it comes out. So
awesome!
Right.
That works out great.
Yeah, so if you could send us the link that you sent us, is that going to be the live link, or is there a different link that goes live?
I'll send you the preview link, and it'll translate into the live link. So it'll
and we'll have that link in the description down below for everybody to click on and go check it out.
Awesome, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. As always, I appreciate you coming on. You're so much. Yeah, I love talking to you and Morgan, man. It's great conversations come out every time.
I appreciate it. We're going to come on as often as you guys want us. We're going to have to do it earlier.
Don't say that, man. We record all the time. Don't say that. We record so much.
You'll be set yourself up. We do. So I'm working on this huge project at work, right? Mm-hmm. It takes up literally, dude, December 5th, I started my project at work. The only days off I've actually had was Christmas Day, New Year's Day, and then 3 random days after that.
Wow.
The Friday for Comic-Con.
Yep, the Friday for Comic-Con. And I've worked every day since then. All the days in between all that. Yeah, and in between all that, we have recorded 35 new episodes.
Wow.
Something like that, man. An insane amount of episodes.
Yeah, an insane amount of episodes. Yeah, it's... You know what it is, Danny? We just love doing this so much. You know what I mean? Our goal in life would be to do this full time.
Well,
if we could do this full time, we would be.
Let's make it happen.
You know what I mean? And yeah,
right,
we just
right.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I didn't realize how depressed I was, and I say this all the time. I didn't realize how depressed I was until I started doing this.
Oh wow!
And had an outlet to talk.
Yeah, when you start to realize that you have a hobby and it turns into a passion,
I understand.
And you didn't even know you had a passion for it, you're like, oh my God, what was I doing my whole life?
I completely understand. Well, let's get y'all. Do y'all have a Patreon set up? We need to get y'all a Patreon set up so we can get you.
Yeah, we do.
Okay,
we do. It's patreon.com/Spoiler Country.
There it is. We need to make sure that happens. Let me go ahead and start tweeting that out to people.
Perfect. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
There we go.
So King Supreme seems like a really cool book. Seems like a lot of fun.
It's a cool concept too. I like it.
Yeah, it's a cool concept and it's original. It seems original to me. I can't think of anything quite. I mean, there's going to be parallels with everything, right? There's going to be something out there that influenced Danny to get to that point. But he seems like he's got a really cool idea.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, I like Danny. Danny's a lot of fun to talk with. That's why we have him back on the show as much as we can. And I'm all for helping to back anything he has going because I've read his work. I've read Ace Blade and I love Ace Blade, and I'm excited to get through and read King Supreme.
Awesome. Well, there you guys go. I think that's a good show. I think you guys have a good idea. We have 4 palpable, viable Kickstarter campaigns for you to go to. Yep. Actually, Danny is on Indiegogo, but that's okay. It's the same concept.
Same difference, man. It's fine.
Yeah. So go out there, and if you have the ability for $1 or $10 or $50 or $500 or $5 million, back these guys. They all deserve it.
If you got $5 million, kick us a few of that million first, okay? As a finder's fee, and then give them the rest, okay?
10%. No.
Right, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna dump millions into one of these books, we might as well get some of that. I mean, just saying, No, but really, yeah. If you can back him, great. If you can't back him, just share the link. I mean, sharing the link on Twitter
retweet.
helps a ton.
Yep. Even on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever you can do, or share this podcast because we bring joy. That's what we do.
We give joy. We bring joy. We are joy.
All right. I think that's a show.
That's a show, dude.
Don't forget, we are heard everywhere podcasts are at. So
everywhere. All of them.
Everywhere podcasts are heard, we're there. So if we're not there,
real quick.
Go ahead.
Sorry, real quick. I meant to say, I want to say thank you to Warlord Worlds today because on their most recent episode, they talked about us and they pimped out a link to our Mike Grell interview.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so thank you guys. We really appreciate that. And if you want some good talking about the works of Mike Grell, go check out Warlord Worlds on any of the podcasts that you listen to.
Yeah, go do that. Do it now.
Do it right now. All right.
That's right.
So as Kenric said, here's where podcasts go. You can talk to us on Twitter. You can talk to us on Instagram, on Facebook, on wherever else we have social media things set up. We have a website, spoilercountrypod.com. If you want to help support us, you can do that through patreon.com/spoilercountry. If you want to email us, you can email us at spoilercountry@gmail.com. If you want to snail mail us, sorry. But we will see you next week for a fun set of episodes that we're going to tweet about here in a minute.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, guys. Remember to open your mind and read more.
See ya.